Today on DirtBound TV, we will be going over the construction of the Mojave rear tire carrier kit. This project will take approximately 3 to 6 hours and requires intermediate fabrication skills. We will be adding the tire carrier to a Mojave cut and fold that we have built in another video. The first step is to weld in the back support plate. After the support plate is welded in and cooled down, we need to weld the hinge cap. We first tack it in place, noting that the back of the hinge cap is flush with the back of the bumper. We then fully weld the hinge cap to the bumper. Now that the hinge cap is welded on, it's time to move over to the passenger side or the other side of the bumper, depending on which side you mounted the tire carrier to, and weld on the taillight cap. We do this similar to the other side, where we first tack it in place and then fully weld it, aligning the back of the taillight cap to the back of the bumper. Now it's time to start assembly of the swing arm. We start by welding the short tube section to the pivot tube. One thing I should note, if you already installed the brass bushings into the pivot tube, make sure to have plenty of ventilation, as it will put off lots of smoke. You don't want to be breathing this stuff. Now that the first section of the swing arm is cooled down, it's time to mount it to the bumper. Use the sleeve bolt and the bottom hinge plate and bolt it on. Now it's time to weld the bottom hinge plate to the bumper. Now weld the hinge cap on the side of the bumper. Now that the hinge is cooled down, it's time to assemble the rest of the swing arm. Take the next section, mount it to the first piece, making sure that it's angled up. Then, using a piece of 3/16 plate, clamp that to the top of the bumper and clamp the long arm section to that. Now that you have the long arm section clamped down, you want to make sure it's parallel to the face of the bumper. This will create a bend in the arm, but also allow for proper clearance. Now that you have the arm tacked up, go ahead and weld it. To assemble the vertical upright, first make a mark 5 1/4 inches from the end of the swing arm. This will be your mark for positioning the upright. Once you're happy with the position of the vertical upright, go ahead and weld it in. Now we need to fill the seams on the vertical upright. Now that the vertical upright is in, place the triangular support bracket in place and tack it up. Now weld the vertical support in place. Using the second included vertical support, weld it in place on the front edge of the swing arm. Now weld the rubber bumper support plate on the bottom of the swing arm. If you haven't already welded the vertical upright center gusset, weld that in place now. Now you're going to want to grind just the front welds off the swing arm. And place the swing arm gusset in place. Make sure to clamp the swing arm brace in place before welding it. Now it's time to make the tire mount. We first loosely assemble the tire adjuster assembly and then tack it onto the wheel plate. Once we're happy with the fitment, weld the wheel plate to the tabs. Make sure to also weld in the slots on the side of the tire adjuster. Now the tire carrier is done. Go ahead and paint it and bolt it on the Jeep. If you still have any questions on how to assemble the do-it-yourself tire carrier kit, you can contact us at info@dirtbound.com or 651-257-2080.